Alright guys, so today I'm going to refurbish the sunroof at a project built behind the 1980 Ford Mustang I'm completely rebuilding. Alright, so I'm going to do this separately. So this is going to be a complete sunroof refurbishment, I guess. It's going to be all the way through painting, seals, removal and installation, and hardware refurbishment to the point where it's looking fresh and brand new. So to start with, I'm really just going to start by taking off this seal. Now this is the seal itself, so this is the original, I believe, so it's crumbly. It does have a metal core, so it's harder to come off. With this, it's going to snap over a channel on the back side of your metal here. So with that, I'm just prying with just a pry bar here, just like this, my little plastic pieces. I'm prying outward a little bit just to get the seal to open a little bit, just to fit down over that. And then as you see, as I'm taking it apart, about an inch at a time, it's just crumbling into pieces, and you can see it's rusty in there. So once I take the seal off there, I'm going to tape up all the glass all the way around and only leave the metal exposed so that I can sand that with 1000 grit sandpaper. Top, inside the channel is rusty, so I've got to get that out before I paint it. And then I'm going to also flip it over on the back side and do the bottom pieces plus the hardware. They're also rusty in that, so I want to get rid of that completely before I repaint it and be able to put it back in the car. Alright guys, so once you have the seal taken off, you can then start taping it up. So this is just blue painter's tape, 2-inch wide, 1.5 inches. And I'm just running it around the edge. So I'm using my fingernail, or you can use a pick here, just run along and run it right down to the metal. And you're going to make it there, and then you can just use a razor blade to essentially go and cut a crisp line through the tape and then peel off the pieces. So if you do that, what you'll do is you'll get a nice crisp line right along the edge of the metal to the glass. You're going to take off the piece from the metal itself and then leave the glass. And then you can cover all this big area with just like some newspaper or something similar to that. Something very easy to take back off and low cost. So let me do that, and then we'll get to sanding and getting going. Alright, so I needed to move inside. It started getting windy out, and it's hard to paint and work outside because this is really kind of flimsy and that. So, as you can see, the sunroof has been covered. Now this is done both sides. So it's just tape around the edge, contoured there. And then this is just some craft paper. This is just some packing paper, really, that I had in a box. So I just used that to help kind of spread out the space. So once the seal is out, and you can start sanding inside the channel. Now I did have some surface rust in there, so I just used some 220 grit sandpaper and just double folded it over so it took up the channel, and I just scuffed as much of the rust out of there as I could. Got it down to a pretty good comfortable level on it, and then I used the same rust inhibitor I had been using inside the car itself. So now the channel itself is sanded and rust inhibitor, and it'll be good for another, hopefully, 30 years. The outside piece has also been sanded with the same 220. I've cleaned it off, and I've cleaned the edge all the way around and on the top with just some basic glass cleaner, taking off any of the rust inhibitor that I had sprayed around the edge. So now this is clean, just like that, you can see. So I need to use some etching primer on it, get that etched and primed, and on the both sides. So if I show you the back, it's the same way. Now I've just come again the edge here. Everything under here really just needs to be cleaned. So I will do that soon. Once I get all this done, I'll just take some glass cleaner and wipe it down. It did not need to be repainted, and this popped through the paper here, but that's okay. Just don't paint it. It'll be fine. So now I need to do some self-etching primer, see how that comes out, and then I'll move on to some black. Okay, so I've flipped the sunroof over. The reason was this bottom edge had a little bit of the etching primer on it, so I want to paint it black. And you notice everything else is covered except for the handle, which is fine. I won't spray it. I also got 2 of the buttons taken off. These are just the pieces on the front of the latches itself that actually go down in the channels. So I'm just going to set those up. These already have been primed with the etching primer. They're already scuffed and primed. And I'm going to use SEM trim black. So this is 39143 is the part number. And this is kind of the standard to use. So this is exterior trim black. And this is what I'm going to use on the full car itself when I do the sail panels, any kind of quarter glass, anything trim related that needs to be black is going to be SEM black. Same part number. So once this is shaken, I'm just going to give it a light coat on black. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to flip it over. So I've just got it sitting on some simple foam that I had from a box, and it's time to paint. Alright, so I've got 4 coats of the SEM black on there now on each of the pieces, and I just used a really light coat, and I used a heat gun in between that, just a little bit of heat to help it flash off the wetness of it, and then let it sit about 10 minutes in between each coat just to help kind of off gas and that and help dry. Nothing major, just to help a little bit of speed. And then once I get 4 coats done, now I'm going to let it sit overnight. Let everything cure, because I need to make sure the channel cures with the rust inhibitor down in there before I put the seal on, and let everything kind of harden up, and then I'll come back and put the hardware back in, put the seal on, and then we can put it back in the car. Okay, so now I've let the sunroof itself sit overnight. I let everything cure, and now it's time to at least start taking off the covering from the paint so that I can see the finished product. So let's take this off. It's all just pretty much blue painter's tape anyway. Should come off relatively easy. And then see where we're at. Kind of like unwrapping Christmas presents. Nice, crisp, clean black line. You can kind of see the underside. Probably can't see it here, but you can definitely see a difference between what was covered in paint and then what was not. This is all down here. Dirty, gotta be clean. All right, so here's the top piece, probably where you see the most difference. So try and cover this. So here you can kind of see the difference. So you can see this is the painted piece, this is the unpainted, so definitely got to be cleaned in that, but this is definitely came out very nice. So at this point I need to put on the seal that goes around the perimeter of the glass itself, and then put on the front hardware. Alright, so to put on the seal itself, I'll show you real close. You've got this channel right here, and this is going to slip into the channel on the glass itself. So if I come down here, it's going to have you start. So here's my handle. I'm going to start on the opposite side of that in the center. Install this, and this is just going to slip into the channel itself. And it says to go clockwise per the instructions. So clockwise is this way. So I'm going to start here, go all the way around, and I should have some excess that I'm going to have to trim with the same cutters that I did if you watched me put in the sunroof and headliner seals on the car itself. Alright gang, so I've got everything done. Now you can see this is the kind of the butt joint. Now these are going to come up short as expected, and you're going to have a little bit of overhang here. So the goal is to just cut this to where it's just going to touch in there, and then you're going to put some silicone on the end of this to match that. And then I can flip it over and show you the finished product. Alright, so now you can see the glass is back installed. So I put the hardware back on, which was the front 2 pieces. I took those off to paint them. The back ones I couldn't actually take off the handle itself, which is okay. Not a big deal. And really what I'm going to do now is just kind of figure out why. This sits a little tight or a little high in the corner. Never really figured out why. It's always been that way. But if you look at your seal on your glass, it should be a continuous connection all the way around. And if it's not, now's the time to fix it. Your seals, with putting both seals in, last week I did the sunroof seal on the car, and this week I did the seal to the glass while replacing or refurbishing the glass, painting it and everything. You've got 2 extra seals. It's like door seals. They are going to be very tight to go in. So this glass, when you put it in the body, is going to take a little finagling, getting it placed in there and kind of getting that seal squished in to sit down in the channel. It'll break in over time, but it's going to be very tight initially is what you want. So if you don't have any problems with it, it's a really good job, and I give you a thumbs up. So if you have any questions on what I did or any paint I used to refurbish the glass itself to repaint it to this nice, pretty black, let me know. And if you have any trouble with it, let me know, or any questions on everything I did. That's it for this time. Got more projects to work on, so we'll see you next time.